Here's why being multi-passionate might actually be sabotaging your sales. I'm Elle, and I help coaches and service providers get more clients sustainably. A common issue I see with a lot of my clients who are highly capable, have done multiple certifications, multiple trainings, you probably have a lot of life experience in what you're supporting people with, is that it's hard to decide what to focus on. Because the truth is, you can help with a lot of things, and you probably enjoy that. You might even have some resistance and some crunchiness around the idea of niching. But this is one of the biggest mistakes that keeps coaches and service providers stuck with too few clients. So if you really want to grow your client base, maybe you're looking to create a group program, you need to pick a niche to focus on. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I'm probably not the first person to tell you this. I know I myself resisted this for quite a while, and it honestly slowed down my journey. It slowed down my business progress. So I want to be a person who can also encourage you in this direction. And I have a few ways to think about niching that I think might be a little bit more comfortable for you. The truth is, unless we are super specific about how we help people and what we help with, folks do not understand that you are talking to them. Let me give you an analogy. So I, like a lot of people during lockdown, gained a bit of weight, and I wanted to lose this weight. And I started seeing ads for an app to help track calories, to get into better habits around eating, nutrition, and fitness. And in the ads for this app, they talked about some case studies with people who had lost 15 pounds. 10 pounds, 20 pounds. That's the range that I wanted to lose. And it really hit me because, I was used to, when I grew up, I had these ads on TV, infomercials of people losing just a ton of weight, 100 pounds, and they had these huge transformations. Now, I realized that if this app had pushed advertisements or told stories to me around losing 100 pounds, I would have thought, this app is not for me. This strategy is not for me. I only want to lose 15 pounds. And that clicked it in, and I understood instantly about niching and marketing and the importance of being super specific with what you're saying and the types of stories you're telling and speaking directly to the person. Even in this example, it made a difference saying 15 pounds versus 100 pounds in terms of how I understood it as speaking to me. And that is even the same problem, right? It's just a difference in the number of pounds, but it makes a difference. You need to be so specific in the type of problems that you're solving in the psychology and life cycle stage of the person who you're trying to help, because they will be experiencing different problems. They will need different help with the kinds of things that you can offer. And unless you speak to them exactly, they're not going to understand that you are the person to help them. Those subtle differences are everything, and it's more important now than ever, especially in coaching where the market's a little more saturated. However, I teach niching a little bit differently than you've maybe heard it before, because I teach a framework model. And when you have a framework for your business, you are adapting that framework to a specific circumstance or to a specific problem or to a group of people, but you can potentially use that same framework down the road and thereby adapt your niche. So it's not something you're locked into forever. To give you a few examples, I did this with my business. I started out as a relationship coach, and I was helping people heal their attachment style and become securely attached within themselves in the context of relationships. And I developed a method and a framework to do that. However, I started to see and have conversations with people who felt that same insecurity around their business. That was my first business program that I launched, my first beta, to help people become securely attached in their business. But I still used the same framework. It was just a totally different niche. I helped my client Shannon do this. She was a health coach, and she was kind of all over the place in terms of what she was providing and who she was supporting. But when we got really clear about her framework and how she could help people, she was able to niche down even more specifically to helping neurodivergent women stay accountable to their health goals. I helped my client Crystal develop her ritual to regulate framework, and she was using this to support female leaders. However, she's pivoted into teaching sales but she's still using that same ritual to regulate framework to help with sales conversations and sales calls. So it is a different niche, but she's using the same framework. And so in that context, your niche can be malleable and changeable and grow with you and grow with your business. However, we do need to have it based upon some thoughtful strategy around who you can really help so that people understand that you're speaking to them and so that they can more easily sign up to work with you. This is going to be, again, especially vital if you're trying to grow your business, you're trying to scale, you're trying to move out of one-to-one and grow into a group program, especially. I want to give you a way to think about this, a few ways to think about this from this video that you can start to apply to your business. First, think about this person who you're going to speak to, the clients who you're going to help, that you're reading the book of their life, you're reading their memoir, you're reading a story about them. There's going to be a chapter in which they find you, in which you appear and you help them overcome something. What is happening in that chapter of that book? You would never read a book that was telling a story and it wouldn't tell you the context that they were helping. Right? You wouldn't read this book and say, well, I really went through a lot of different things and I became much more empowered in my life. No, instead you're going to tell the story like, once I lost my job, it actually ended up being one of the biggest gifts because I was able to deep dive into my own sensuality, my own feminine power. And that's when I realized I had been living out of alignment. And that's when I developed my feminine leadership modality, where I teach you how to be deeply embodied and present and lead from a feminine place so that you can take up more space at work, so that you can use your voice, so that you can drive your business from a deep well of alignment. So that might not be your niche, that might not be your jam, but the point is that you're not going to talk in these really general terms about what you help with. If you're reading a memoir about somebody, right, it's going to be a specific story. It's going to be about losing a job, pivoting a career, a health crisis, a breakup, a financial pivot, something like that. So your story needs to be just as tangible. So you can take away from this video the following exercise and see how it lands for you. I would love to see you write down 3 things. 1, write down your major skill sets. What are you good at? What have your careers been? And what skills did you develop inside of those careers? 2, write down your major life turning points. What were the big pivot moments, the aha moments, the times where you threw everything away and started over, where you felt like you were a new person? Number 3, write down a list of the problems you can help people with. These are probably from your certifications. These are maybe from your unique skill sets. Just do a brain dump of all the different things that you can be helpful with. Finally, see if there are any intersections between these areas. Does anything jump out to you? Is anything specific? Is there anything that you think there is a gap in the market? People do need help with this. I don't see a lot of folks showing up teaching around this specifically. That might be the niche that you need to explore. So go ahead and like this video and subscribe to our channel. I'll be talking over the next few weeks around other common misconceptions, other common mistakes that you may be making in your business that's costing you clients. And down below, you can also grab our free resource, the Marketing Taboo List. These are words that you should never use in your marketing, especially if you're doing something esoteric or healing oriented, so that you can start to get more clients in a more predictable way.